Well, good evening, everybody. First order of business is to have the agenda accept or comment on the minutes from April 8th meeting. We have a motion to accept them as written.
Make a motion. Sorry.
And a second.
I'll second.
You all in favor?
Oh, sorry. Whoops.
Thank you. If we can go right into project status, pricing, scope, whatever, and see what's going on.
Yeah, okay, so
What are you thinking?
big update, which I'm sure Chris has spilled some of the
Of the meetings?
drama already, or the beans, that we were slightly underprepared, or I guess I'd say taken down a different rabbit hole at the planning board meeting. There was some consensus about needing permits, building permits and fire marshal occupancy permits before we went for planning permit, which in my experience and talking to my colleague in the civil with Trillium Engineering was also echoed that that's very much unheard of. So, and you know, each municipality is different, so perhaps Monmouth specifically would like to see certain code reviews before they accept a planning application. Generally, planning board will approve work on a site as a whole and how it relates to the public way. So anything that would impact the main road, the public, sewage, septic, stuff like that, like things that really impact the site as a whole and not the building or occupancy. And so knowing that now, I've prepared another code review, and I think I wanted to discuss today if we wanted to pursue, there's pros and cons for pursuing building permit and fire marshal permit at the current moment.
Right.
They'll last for a rolling year upon acceptance, and if that 700,000 or if there's enough money to complete the project within that rolling year, you'd have to apply again. Which is just fees that you're wasting.
Pay fees.
The state fire marshal.
Oh, we do?
Yeah,
Oh,
and it wouldn't be much, but every little bit
Bit
counts.
I mean, you're talking like $100 or less or more?
It would probably be between 800 and 1200.
Yeah. That's a window.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So it's definitely doable, and I've already prepared the applications. They would just need to be submitted with a form of payment. So if you as a whole would like to do that, we can certainly do that. It wouldn't have been seen by the fire marshal and approved between last month's planning board meeting and this Thursday. They usually take 1, 2, sometimes 3 months, depending on the time of year and how many projects they're reviewing. So I didn't feel there was a need to rush it or anything, but if we want to do it, we can go into Thursday's meeting with the documents that I've prepared that is sort of proving our code analysis, and then also say we've submitted to fire marshal and I did have some preliminary conversations with the fire chief, state fire marshal chief, and he also affirms that my assumptions are correct on the building not needing a sprinkler system. So there's been conversation, it's just not legal, so to say, yet.
Not a formal application.
Correct.
So is this a direct result of when we did our little walkthrough and the gentleman spoke with me and I then spoke, okay.
And then it's been perpetuated by the former code enforcement officer.
Yes, well, he was in on the,
Yeah.
okay.
It probably doesn't make much sense to go ahead and apply for all of that and spend $1,200 or whatever it is.
So we know.
If the vote goes the wrong way, then it's just more money we've wasted.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we would recommend professionally as well. And I've told Chris that already. It makes the most sense. And even if there were a rolling year and it buys you, when's the vote? June?
June 11th.
June 11th. So it buys you a month too of more pre-planning stuff.
Do we need to vote on that now, or do you want to wait till you finish your whole, you know, like, do we
I'm
need to
not-
vote on waiting?
From everything that Andrew said and from
He's
what I
done, yeah.
understand about the planning board is it's really not under their purview to have anything to do with the codes. It's more about, like he said, the site itself. So, and having never been before the planning board, that was my first foray to coming to a meeting and going through that, but I'm sure you've been. And have you been before the planning board for anything? But you have, so I wasn't surprised by what was said
No.
and done and how they approached us, a
However,
few of the members, but I was surprised that they thought it was under their purview.
Right.
Exactly. So,
And chronologically, I've never experienced that, and neither has Eric Doobie, who's been a civil engineer for 30 years and has probably done thousands of planning boards, is that planning board usually preempts building permit
Right.
and state fire marshal permit. So you get the planning board and then you go for building. It's never been that they would expect a review done by a code enforcement officer or a state fire marshal before accepting a planning application. It was, I would say, strange.
You haven't done that before, Doug? Have you seen that process before?
But no, I've never, I don't remember how it went. So
I've never seen it done that way in municipalities. I sit on planning board meetings just to make sure they do their due diligence.
So it's a personal.
Interesting.
Should we have another information meeting for the community sometime before the June 11th vote?
so I'm gonna go over what I've done already for that, and then we can talk about that more, but.
Okay.
did you make copies? Did you pick up?
No, I'm glad you did, because I forgot.
Got 'em right here. Okay.
I got sidetracked doing something else, and I got up here and went, oh, shoot, I did not bring that letter with me. I was going to read it from my phone, from my email, so.
So if we'd like to wait, or not wait, but collectively, you would like to wait until post June 11th to submit for permits, then that raises the question, do we want to just withdraw the planning application until we have more information? Gauging the fact that they may still have the same qualms, and if we don't have any sort of official things behind us backing our permit, then it might just be in a standstill. That's the question. Obviously, we're more than happy to present at every planning meeting monthly until they accept it. But if we feel that's a waste of time collectively until we've got more information,
Yeah,
then
well, I don't think we should do anything. That's my personal opinion for the vote, so we know. When it's in June, is there planning board meeting?
This
each month?
Thursday,
And then, so. it'd be
and then it would
earlier.
be the
is it June 11th? Near June
June,
11th.
yeah, something
So
right
the
around
first.
there, so,
May not even be till July.
I mean, I think that if we go on Thursday, we can say, this is our address and you have our plans and here are our plans, and see what they say. If they go down this rabbit hole again about code, then we'll say, this is unusual. Why are we
And
at this stage? of
Eric has
talking about
offered
that?
to come as well, so he's a bit more experienced than me by about 25 years. And can probably handle that side conversation a little bit better.
So whether we want to have Eric there and have a discussion and say, have Eric back us up that this is unusual because normally you're looking just at the site,
I think it's important to have Eric there to support,
Yeah.
support everything. And I feel like, sometimes you have strength in numbers.
Yes.
And I feel it's a personal attack on this because there are those on that committee who are dead set against this.
Right.
And I think they're trying to find everything in their power to end it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think Eric should be there.
Yeah, I'll confirm with him. He offered last month. I called him the day after the meeting and discussed what
Said-
happened. And he said that he'll put it on his schedule, and I told him that I would just let him know if we were gonna go back in front of them or not. Should be there.
So we're under old business. They're gonna have the Lake Star subdivision before us and then us,
Is
so.
Lake Star, is that the one that's gonna be on Cocknowagon?
533 Route 135.
Oh,
So
no.
that is the Wilford Frost
Okay.
property.
Okay.
So So
Hopefully
we
don't
are.
Sit through that whole solar.
Well,
farm
not the
again.
solar thing, that is after us, so
Yes.
they are after us. We are number 2.
For our benefit, I'm sure. We got an hour and a half of
Yes,
deliberation on that one.
yeah, exactly, so we'll see.
Got meetings here.
It's at, yeah,
7?
Thursday at 7 o'clock. So we'll probably be,
And of course, it is open to the public residents, so
yep, exactly.
anybody can come. And really, the planning board is there to protect the best interest of the town's citizens and, you know, not to hold
Right.
grudges. Somebody might want to remind them of that, I'm not sure. Whose job that is.
Well, I'll be across the street at the MVC Honors Banquet because my granddaughter is in the Summa Cum Laude group. So I just made saunter across the street when it's over.
It's wonder.
Well, it starts at 5:30, so it
Yeah.
should be done
Yeah.
over here.
So the June planning thing. Doesn't look good. What's that?
All right.
So, yeah, the June.
June
let me see.
13th.
Yeah, they should have.
Only after the vote.
So we'll have the vote count by then. Huh?
Yeah, it'll,
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the 11th.
exactly. The 11th, and then we can.
So do we need to make a motion to?
It's not
say
an
let's
agenda
wait, or
item,
not? Okay.
so, I mean, it's not an agenda item tonight, really, but I mean, if we want to put it on the record that, we'll go for clarification this Thursday and then hold off on submitting to the fire marshal until the vote, so we know whether we're gonna be able to progress to that point, so.
Right, so
I think that's a good idea to have it in our minutes.
Yes.
Just so that we've crossed our Ts and dotted our Is.
Yeah.
okay, so do we want to have a motion? We want to give me a motion for, so sorry, I have such a hard time remembering. For,
Or, putting off the fire marshal permit submission until after the June warrant article decision.
have a motion,
I'll move that.
and second, please,
I'll second that.
and all in favor?
So perhaps in June, instead of the first Monday of the month, we do the second, and that'll give us more information. That way we don't have to wait until July to
Right.
make a motion
And
to
if-
submit.
So that would, well,
That would have to be the,
would have to be the third.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Third,
yeah,
so the 17th.
Third, because otherwise we'd have to move the meeting again because they'd be setting up here for voting. So,
So do we want to,
yeah.
yeah,
so the 17th? So we want to be after the vote?
do we want to do after the vote? Yeah. so-
I think that would be smart.
It would be after the vote and it would be after the 13th planning board.
Right.
And we'd
Mhm.
have all the information.
Okay,
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so our next meeting then is June 17th. Here,
Is this room available?
listed at the moment.
Did you see anything listed? No, so,
What's
yeah.
in the note at the moment?
Yes.
All of the planning stuff, I don't think I have anything. Business and stuff on anything else. I haven't spoken with Steve Burton for a couple months now, especially regarding the pricing. Lark is unable to help at this time and it's kind of out of our expertise, so it would be best to have Steve give at least a more educated guess than we would. You know, we wouldn't want to throw any numbers low or too high stuff. But he's probably having a crew back here pretty soon, right? Now that snow's
I
gone.
was kind of hoping to hear.
I was,
from them today.
yeah, I was hoping that we'd be starting to see something, because I'm sure people would like to see, Jeff was like, boy, Jeff is my webmaster. Boy, I'd like to, have pictures of what's going on if they start up again and what the progress is between, to put on Facebook and
And then
And all
I'll
that.
Steve.
Are
Yeah.
those bags of concrete out there?
they've been there all winter.
Oh, they have. Oh, okay.
I'm sure they aren't very good.
I kicked one a little while ago, they're hard as a rock.
Yeah, how's your foot? Yeah, bag and masonry mix, yeah, it's,
Yeah, when Darren, or if he has another super on site comes back, I would like to do another walkthrough, just to verify some things that had come up, in me going back through and looking at some of our code stuff and at the building. The gentleman who was sitting there, which I don't remember his name, yeah, he says that he doesn't believe our openings are meet egress width and stuff, and so I'm gonna make sure they do. They're drawn on our plans to allow egress, and accessible egress, but I wanna make sure that those
From the road
openings can,
to the ante room.
yes.
Yeah.
And if they aren't compliant as they are now, we'll have to get some masons or do some demo to make those openings a little bit larger.
We wanna move on to looking at the conversation we wanted to have with the, voting information that we're,
the only other thing Andrew and I did a conference call, a Zoom call with, the kid,
Yes, that's
I
right.
say kid, Noah Cole from Stone Mountain, the audiovisual company that sent me the estimate. And I wanted to make sure that if they started running any wires or anything like that, that we would know what we need, so we don't have to backtrack. And the long and short of it really is, they can do pretty much anything we want after the fact.
Yeah.
The only thing is maybe in the archive room, if we're installing a TV in there, to have the plug up high, so it's hidden behind the television. So I think that's really the only thing that we have to mention if they pull cable and put any sort of outlets
Yeah.
prior to.
He did send me a markup of the two things he would suggest going in prior to their involvement, and it was one quad box and one other, something. I think it was an outlet or receptacle of some kind. So 2 boxes, nothing huge, which would be pretty easy to set up for if and when they do come on board in the future.
To run stuff.
Yeah.
So because the beauty of it is essentially over the library space is open and, and, the rest of it is, new over in the other, where the archive room will be pretty straightforward, so. And
how big is the archive room gonna be?
Oh,
Ballpark.
I can get a square footage.
they had that somewhere, hold on.
That'd be like 12 by 14 or something.
It's not bad.
I just have to find the right piece of paper. The archive space is, 215 square feet, 215 square feet, I think, from what I jotted down here, because the library space is 1316 and the archive space is 215.
So it's actually about 20 by 14.
So if there was a small meeting like we could meet in there,
Right.
because something big could be going on and, you can have multiple
Good talk.
meetings going on in there, so. Yeah, but it was great. I thanked him for working with us, even though we have no money and no contract or anything, but I just wanted to know is if we were pursuing this, we didn't even, we go with them, great, which I think you've worked with them and loved them, and they're really knowledgeable, especially with old buildings and
Yeah.
what people
Just
need.
curious, what was the estimate of this proposal?
Um,
He may have sent it to me, but I saw it.
So the grand total for everything is $31,840.
And that's all equipment.
That, yep, and so the and then the I'm getting that sign, okay. So for the library space, the total for the assembly is $22,219. And then for the archive space, 69.65, so. So maybe I'm reading this, it probably will end up being about 38 together because this is labor. That's labor. I looked at that thinking, I thought this was the total, but that's with labor for the library, because labor's about 8,700, so. And then, yeah, so it looks like we'll be right around 40,000 for everything. So, which I was gonna do another ask to Kennebec Savings, because essentially, if we did 25,000 from Kennebec Savings, that would cover the archive fees, and then we could figure out another chunk from somebody else wants to have their name on the archive space, audio visual, so, yeah.
I'd say 22 for the assembly hall sounds very reasonable. I'm not. If there's just gonna be a TV in there, I don't know if there's other systems that he's listed that I haven't seen. I'm not sure what would be in the archive space, but I mean, two speakers, potential suspended monitor and a projector, all the equipment to hook up into, and a retractable screen for 22 sounds pretty reasonable.
So the biggest thing, for the archive space, the television was like 700 and then a wall mount, and then it had a wireless conferencing for small meeting rooms and huddle spaces. That was 1950. And then labor there, of course, is like $2,000, so. And then the cables weren't, it's pennies, so. But the main big thing, of course, barcode, click share, wireless conferencing for small meeting rooms, which I don't know what that is.
It's probably just, like, the camera that's
Like
sort of built
probably what
in,
we have
yeah,
here.
and some
Yeah,
wireless remotes and communication things with the. Yeah, maybe, and if that's something that you guys could provide at a lower cost potentially, like, something more like this that isn't super high tech. You could
Yes.
probably take that out.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I know it's great. and
Yeah.
I'm glad he did that for you. He works really well and knows his stuff, so.
Yeah. That's something technology is not most.
I like to just push a button.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to like, oh,
I don't know, figure it out, yeah, but no, he was great to talk with and work with, so it was nice to put a face to the emails I'd had back and forth with him to try to get a grasp on what we would need to do it.
During this last couple of weeks, the discussion about getting information out for the voters.
Mhm.
Well, the upset that we bumped into, I gave you a copy of that. Sheet that you sent it to the.
Yeah.
Weekly, is it a weekly?
Yep, the Country Courier comes out once a month, and so the only opportunity, because the May one we got in our mailbox is like the end of, well, it was actually the April one, we
Right.
got the end of April, so this will be the May issue, and I reached out to them And I talked with the girl about sending it in. Doug helped with the bones of the letter, and then there were a couple things that we wanted to add. And then one of the things that, you know, Jeff has used to help kind of reorganize things and make it sound. Plus, it also takes out some words sometimes.
What's the same?
And it kind of shortens it because Turner Publishing charges by the word. And so it kind of, and much to Doug's chagrin, we used, it's like a chat bot. It's an AI program that you put everything you've written into, and it spits out a document. And this is the document we came up with. And with the only change that we made to it is Dawn told me that the demo cost was $448,000. So I did change that. And I did also add our names at the bottom because I wanted people to know who we are on the committee. I thought it was important to know that. And so I sent it off to them. It will be in the May issue. And I paid for it. And that's all there is to do. All there is to say about that. I don't care because it's important to me to have it out there. So it's paid for and done. So and
Is
it'll
it-
be in there.
Okay, and there's no way to get it like into the KJ?
So
Sun
the
Court?
only idea I have for the KJ and the Sun is to send it in as a letter to the editor.
Okay,
And I think that they'll take it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they won't, so I'll use this same letter and I'll send it in. But I wanted to gauge when you wanted me to do that, maybe more towards the end of the month, so it'll be more present for people.
it would be nice if it could go in like, the Tuesday or Wednesday after Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Or even,
Which is the 27th.
or even the 1st of June, I want it fresh in their minds,
Yeah.
but you don't want them to,
Yeah,
know.
exactly. And the only thing I don't know is what kind of a backlog, for letters to the editor, whether they get them and they pick and choose or
Right.
how that works. I don't know, because
So basically.
I don't know
but
that
the
I've
other thing
ever.
to think about too is we don't want to put it in too early so that there aren't a lot of letters back.
Yeah, exactly. The letters back,
Yeah, or letters.
exactly.
By the,
Yeah,
by the.
Instant, yeah.
So we're talking maybe Monday the 10th. No.
No time.
Or, yeah,
So I just wanted some input from you folks
I
to
think that's,
say what
yeah,
you
letter to
wanted
the editor,
to
I think.
put it in the letter, send it to the letter to the editors for
Yeah.
KJ and the Sun.
Yeah.
So,
So you're
but
thinking
when
the-
you're
the end of
thinking
the
for
week,
them.
just prior, so like the 5th, 6th, or 7th, somewhere in there.
Sure, don't you think? And I just. Yep, that's what I'm thinking.
Would either the papers be interested in doing an article on, Monmouth is
That's what,
preserving a history?
yeah, but I don't know anybody. I mean, years ago, I knew all the sports writers, but I don't know any of them or anybody.
Call them and ask.
Call them on the phone, just ask them.
Call them up and just explain what's
Well,
going
who
on.
was that guy, Ari, that called me? Did he called you when you ran too last year?
Yeah, I don't know if he's still there.
I don't know. He came in on one of our select board meetings by Zoom one time when we were talking about, I think, the beach or something, but.
Chris, when we did the steeple on the church,
Mhm.
I called the newspapers and they were excited, and within 2 or 3 days, they had,
Oh, yeah.
drone,
Actually, I know the
drone.
video guy from the Cape Sun. I know him. I know him pretty well, actually, Russ Dillingham.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
might
Yeah,
send
right.
Russ Dillingham a little query, so.
That would be good PR,
Yes.
especially, we could get someone from the museum to write up a quick little history or something, why it's so significant.
Yes, yeah. I'll send Russ Dillingham a little note too, and then I'll plan on sending it as a letter to the
Yeah,
editor
I think
as it gets
that's a
closer.
great idea.
If we don't get something in ahead of time, then I'll send it as a letter to the editor, so. Because essentially, if it's in one paper, it's in the other, because
Yes.
they're essentially exactly the same.
Yeah.
Right. There might be one article different between the two of them, but.
Yeah.
So
we're
I'll just
thinking
shoot him in.
Sometime the first week of June.
Yeah,
That would be good timing.
Yeah. It's a will, there's a way.
It'd be that way.
Yeah.
Yep. If we don't have WGME here. I haven't had my glass of wine tonight yet. Just imagine. I know.
Anybody have any as far as updates? any further
The only thing
information?
that somebody brought up to me is I was chatting away this morning on the phone with, somebody, they said, well, you know, if people voted to pass this 3 years ago, then I would think that those same people that supported it before are gonna support it again. And that piqued my curiosity because I couldn't remember, because it was 3 years ago, what the numbers were. So I went on and found
Oh, there you go.
the numbers from 2021 when we just put it on the warrant to do one or the other. And it was 412 to 321. So it was about 100, you know, just under 100 votes that we passed the preservation of the 1856. So the other one, which was to tear down everything, was an overwhelming no of 457 to 250 to tear down everything. So
I like
You
that
know,
one better,
I know, I do too.
that spread, but
So, but
the thing that I think, it boggles my mind that, you know, I mean, it wasn't our fault that the pandemic had hit and that unfortunately prices skyrocketed. And we've tried not to, and it's like, why would you want to leave something undone? Locked up, closed, instead of,
Paying on the.
right,
Still
right,
paying
and
the
still pay, and still, instead of finishing it and, you know, having the space to have the meetings or to have small receptions or whatever, because we don't have that. You know, because, you know, you can't use Helen Melody Hall and space is so limited at Compton. And to use the school, you have to fill out, you know, 5 pages. And, you know, then it has to be sent, you know, and I'm serious, it's 5 pages and
you have to have a representative
representative of the school to be here the entire time that you're
Yes.
having this
event.
function.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people have to, I know trust is hard, but they need to trust and believe that this will be something that the community will use.
Again, maybe another night at Compton, at the library, we could have people there to answer questions or something like that. I know I talked to Julie Sawtell and I explained to her everything and she said, oh, I understand it now. So,
It's,
Are there any local Memorial Day festivities that happen? Just in
Yes,
town
there
in
are.
general?
Yeah.
we have parades.
That's about it.
Run the parade right by here, just.
Yeah.
Beer and lemonade. Oh, and by the way.
Yeah.
But I mean, if there are things, what are the chances of like a booth or any?
Well, Mayfair.
I'll be at Mayfair,
Yeah.
which is
the 18th.
on the 18th. I'll be at
May
Mayfair because I'll be there in those big giant boards you gave us. I've got some easels now, so I'm going to those and figure out a way that they don't blow over. But anyway, I've been at Mayfair. This will be my 3rd year, I think, at Mayfair with the throws and everything. So, or last year, this is only the 2nd year at Mayfair, but I've been at
Apple
Been an
Apple
Apple
Fest,
Fest several years.
you know, for
Yeah,
several
quite a few
years.
times.
So, yeah, I mean, I'll be there with bells on, answering questions and with, as I always say, with my tin cup, you know, so.
But I take a couple copies of the letter
Yes,
with you too.
I'll take
I
the
mean, but-
letter. I always have all kinds of information there. And now that I've got the big plans and my little, you know, hand lettered sign that says 1856 Monmouth Academy. Why for people to know that what I'm standing there doing, so, and what it's about. So I'm hoping that I generate more conversations this time and answer more questions for people.
Is there, a visibility concern potentially? Are the people that are asking questions or seeing this as a project of a certain demographic, like maybe younger folks in town don't get the newspaper because not a lot of younger folks do, or like, I mean, so to my reference to this, I drive by the Gardner Commons almost every day and they've had that little thermometer there with the
Raising money.
things for raising money, and it's been there for like 2 years and it just got filled up like a couple months ago. I'm like, oh, that's great. But I would never know about it unless
Yeah.
that's just my experience, I guess.
I think that the Facebook page, we're closing in on like 300 friends, because Jeff manages the Facebook page for me, excuse me, and also our website. So, and they're tied together. And if you post anything, which I'm gonna post this letter on the Facebook page. Excuse me. And then that usually draws some conversations and gets the word around, but I think that the older folks, like my mother, who doesn't, pay attention to Facebook, or people that don't use Facebook or anything like that, most of them are alumni or, had their kids go through school, so they understand it. But I think, the ask part of it is just a matter of trying to get the information out there. So, as I've always said, tell your friends and tell your friends to tell your friends, and,
What is the ballot gonna say? Do you know?
Yep, I do, and I think I've still got that in here from the
There's
last.
gonna be people that are gonna come to vote and never heard about the opposition.
Right, and is
So-
it written so that it's,
It's pretty straightforward.
okay, so it's not confusing?
Yep, that's right, didn't feel well, so you weren't here the last time, and Steve was watching the eclipse, so what it says, I have it right here. Shall the town vote to authorize the issuance of up to $700,000 in general obligation bonds or notes of the town for the purpose of financing the completion of construction of the 1856 Monmouth Academy building. The details of such borrowing, because this is all the stuff they have to put in there legally, include provisions that the bond may be taxable or tax exempt, prepaid, or subject to call for redemption with or without premium, and the dates, maturities, denominations, and interest rates to be determined by the select board and raise and appropriate $14,000 for the first annual payment. It is estimated that the future annual principal and interest payments will be approximately $50,000. So then it goes through all of the gobbledygook about the bond and the interest rates and all of that. And then it does say select board recommends yes. So.
Well, I was just hoping it would be clear to people that don't know what's going on when they start going down the list, will read that.
So a yes means yes, and a
Yes
no
means
means no.
yes.
Yes.
Exactly, not like last time, that was really confusing with two different questions on
Right,
there.
right.
And then, that's why those signs appeared around town about vote yes on 32 and vote no on 33, so.
Yeah.
We had to make it clear about what we wanted to happen. And
Point out that there's two expensive things that are stuck in there, that and it's 700 for the salt shed.
yeah,
So I don't know if
$700,000 for a
salt
salt shed?
shed, because we're gonna go to salt priority, hopefully, and which of course that's another whole story.
when I asked Justin about it, he said that both of them together will mean an increase of $40 on a tax rate bill for a $200,000 property.
Yeah,
So-
so it'd be $40. If both of them pass, it would increase your taxes.
Is ours
by-
on, and I'm being very serious, I'm not trying to, stir the pot. Is ours first or second?
Ours is well, let me see.
Cause you have $1 million house, so you're.
Yeah. No, the salt shed is first and we're second. So,
I got a question. Maybe this is not in the proper time. How much do you think will be done before June 11th? Of the building?
That's,
Will I'm hoping that maybe the cupola and the bell could be put back before, so people will be able to see.
you'd have to reach out to Steve,
yeah.
which I can do.
And I don't know if they can put the top deck on if the bell hasn't been restored yet either, right?
They can platform it,
Yeah,
probably as soon as they come back.
yeah.
I can imagine we make that a priority when they come back. There's no reason they couldn't build the platforming and just have that there so that when the bell is put in place, they can just erect the.
Would the dome portion be able to be on top or not?
No, because I don't think you can get that bell through
Yeah,
the arches. It's gonna have to be lifted up and then
Yeah,
built
and then
around.
built around
They
it.
were
That's what I
talking about
thought.
doing the whole thing entirely on the ground,
And
dome and
then-
all,
Yeah,
everything up.
Yeah,
They did, well, yeah, but they would still build the platforming first, I believe, and then. I think they did. They would say that, because they were asking me about flashing details on how to get the rubber around the sides of it, so that when they put the thing on, that wouldn't make penetrations and stuff, but maybe I misinterpreted, or that could have been an older conversation.
Maybe their plans change, but I know
Both things
Aaron
could
and
be
I
true.
talked a couple times about possibly constructing the whole thing on the ground. And they were even talking about doing part of it this winter up on their shop, but
Yeah,
I don't think that happened.
I don't know.
I haven't heard of it, anything going on, but
Yeah, it sounds like we just need to talk to Steve.
yeah,
How much
see
can
what he has to say.
finish before that time? So say 2 weeks before you could have an open house. Would the
again,
sheetrock and stuff be up at that time?
Probably, well,
Well, it depends on.
it depends on who's
Who's coming back.
Yeah.
if they've acquired a sub, like a sheetrock and mudding sub. Just slot this in their spring plans already, then potentially they'll be just ready to move in, but if they come back and they need to then work out who's gonna come and what order and finish up what things, then. I would say it probably is not ready by the 11th.
I would bet against it
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to get the electricians in to do all the work,
Mhm.
all the rough in, the plumbing
Insulation.
rough in, all the insulation.
Yeah.
Even if they were working on that now, it would be difficult to have that all done
Yeah, I
by
wouldn't
June.
think so.
Yeah,
That's only 4 weeks away.
exactly.
4 weeks, doesn't that sound awful? My God.
Yes, that is awful.
Well, I think, when we actually do get to the point that the bell goes back up, no matter when it is, I really think that needs to be, we should have a big, come watch the bell be,
Yeah.
put back up
Know
and,
that it's happening. I think.
Mhm.
yeah, make some sort of big announcement and say, join us as we, see this happen.
If we make the bell a priority and they do bring it on site and work at it on site. Does that remove the effect of it being up as much, or could you still have an event be
See
like,
what's happening.
here's the bell, this has
Exactly.
been up there for 200 years, you can now touch it,
Right,
or,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
whatever, it's fun.
You
Right.
just have to
Historic.
clean the pigeon coop off of
Are you
it, so
blind?
people
Don't forget,
the
pigeon coop,
is
can go
dead.
blind,
So.
you rub your eyes.
Committee blinds half of town.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
It's an easy no.
How long will it sit on the ground before you put it up?
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
I
that's the
wouldn't
thing.
have it sitting around.
yeah.
That's why when it came down, we were up here that day, because it was like, okay, the bell's coming down today, guess what? And the fair started and Jeff and I came up here because you were gone
Yeah.
and we came up and we put it right in the back of the truck and took it to my mother's barn, and it
Yeah.
had been stored undercover in the barn all winter, so where we could get in and out of there, because we didn't want it. I mean, it's not a big deal to bring it back and forth. It's just the more times you move it around, I'm standing there going. You know?
I would say the likelihood of having any significant work done in the next 4 weeks is pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty slim.
Yeah.
London.
So,
That 400,000 will still be there.
Yeah, we still have, yeah, what is it?
Yeah.
Close to 400. 1395 rather than 1.7, yeah. Yeah. 359 plus 69. I'll reach out to Steve and see what the plan is for when, who's coming back
And when?
and when. What potentially will be done by the 11th.
I do know that the class of 2024 asked if they were gonna be able to come over and stand in front of the old building. And I said, well, right now we have a fence around it, you know, so I'm not sure we'll be able to do it this year. And they weren't happy, but it is what it is.
They just wanted to like stand in front.
Well, yeah, the last couple of years, I don't know, we would come over and they'd get up onto the, like we used to do, that's where the class picture would be,
Always on the front desk.
was always on the front steps and stuff, and so they wanted
Move
to,
the fence for an hour or so?
I don't know. I don't
well,
know.
the new railing is done on the front porch and the floor was fine on the
Mhm.
front porch. So I don't know if they
I'm
didn't.
not sure what condition the steps are in. They didn't get the steps. replaced.
Exactly, the steps
They
go
might be able to stand in front
in front of, and
and
not.
get on the
Exactly.
steps.
Yeah, probably we.
I'll
could
look at it and
ask-
see,
then
like-
Ask Justin to make sure.
There's only
that
two
that's-
sections of fence
Right,
that
if-
are kind of setting up
If
there.
the
A
guys would just move it, just so I could
couple of the
Take them
boys could
over
grab
and
that and lug that out of the
cross
way
it.
real fast, take the pictures
take
and
their picture.
move it
Okay.
back.
If you ask
Yeah,
if it becomes a liability, you know, insurance wise.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then I
That's
can,
always nowadays.
yeah,
I know, it's like, but they did ask
Started
me.
with hard hat and steel toes.
yeah.
Yeah, well, the other thing is the alumni, for Alumni Day would like to know if they could have it open for tours.
And depending on where
What
they are and
condition.
what's
It's
going
Au- 'cause it's
on,
August 3rd.
August, and you know, I'm sure that we can figure that out for
Yeah,
a
so
Saturday.
we'll talk
Is
about that.
It's the same.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's, because we used to bring them over to see the old academy.
Yeah.
Before the demolition and everything, so they asked for that.
You see it. If they're
Yes.
all set with project status and updates and. On the fundraising.
I don't have anything new. I haven't asked for an updated spreadsheet, but I don't know of anything giant coming in. I looked to figure out when Stephen King that had to be in by the 14th or the 15th of April. They didn't respond to me last year with a negative until June 1st. So they essentially like a month and a half of whatever before they respond. So, I know that one's out there and you
Yeah.
wanted to find out if anybody knew anybody from Key Bank, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Does anybody know anybody that works or does anything with Key Bank?
Used to be, Gordon Powell, who's an executive vice president. His wife was the principal over there, but has he retired? I'm not sure. Yeah, I think so. Is he, Gordon is,
Oh, that was a long
Bank,
time.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
But she retired because she was beginning throes of some dementia. And he stayed on for a while. KeyBank, good lord. Oh, let me see what I can find out.
Well, just to give you an update, Androscoggin Bank, they have 4 different dates. Well, quarterly, they will award grants. So that's one is going in, probably the end of May, or it'll be in August. Well, it depends on it. Also, bank an application, I'm just waiting to finish. Can you tell me if the town has an audit finished yet? And back, a new, most recent audit?
It's not, it's supposed to be one come, May.
Yes,
He said one
exactly.
of these meetings we have.
Yeah. Yeah,
But,
it was in front of Casey.
One of the applications I have is asking for the most recent audit.
Yeah.
And I really don't want to send them audits that's 3 years old. No, it's,
So I think Casey just had to. It's been done and Casey
Okay.
was just approving it because he couldn't
Oh, he
leave
approved it,
until
okay.
Casey approved it.
it's a
So,
year old, right?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, but within reason for sure. So that one, as soon as I know that
Yeah.
we've got that, I'll email you.
Bangor Savings, they have a
Mhm.
program, but they've already awarded it. It was in their website today
Oh, was it?
for 2024. And TD Bank is another one that I'm putting together. I can't recall what the due dates are, but there's 3 or 4 that I'm prepping for to get out on time. They have all the information. So, and there's the other one is the Morton Kelly. They're out of Portland, and I spoke with the people there about it. And so I have to go back to their website and make sure I have the dates. I don't think it even opens up until July 1. So, but writing those grants, all I can do is say no.
So
So
thank you very much.
Yes.
well, it's kind of discouraging that the ones we've sent out, I
Yeah.
thought for sure we'd get funding from them, and I'm gonna go back and check the L fund when we can go back in and ask.
You can go to Alfont anytime. I think it doesn't, there's no dates or anything on
Okay.
Alfont, so,
I'll have to go back and refresh my memory.
yeah.
I did, I mean, you sent me some stuff on the Onion Foundation,
Yeah.
and they don't fund programs like
No.
we're doing. I looked at the Miles Foundation and well, the Davis Foundation, but they're mostly operational funding, but they don't do big infrastructure projects. But, and I've got a lot of, I subscribe to federal grants, and it's pretty lengthy to try to get through those to what they do. And they're mostly for educational, not a lot of infrastructure or capital projects, but I keep looking.
Yeah.
Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, they,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
send him a letter.
Steve, when you go to the L Fund, they love Colby College. And Elijah Lovejoy Award that they give every year. Well, Elijah Lovejoy graduated from Monmouth Academy. So Elijah Parrish Lovejoy graduated from Monmouth Academy, and then he's the one that they now, Colby College gives that big award out.
Well, we'll just take his diploma back.
And again, and the Alphons love Colby College, so.
Anything to do with
Yeah.
water. so-
Yeah, Waterville, they love water.
Yeah.
That's you? That's all I have.
So,
Nothing
That's
else.
a lot, thank you.
yes.
Well,
Yes.
Very much so. Then you have this for approval
A bill,
of a bill,
A bill.
yeah.
bills.
Tell Paul, we all need one of those pins by the time we're done with this.
course.
So-
Got a
Bag of 50.
Yes,
Our
their logo.
Oh,
Yeah, we got a bag of 50 of them or something somewhere. I can bring a handful.
Yes.
If we find them, we just moved offices and now we can't find
Oh.
anything.
There's state notes. Where'd you
I
move
think
to?
we moved to Monument Square.
Oh, did
Um,
you? Yeah.
Yeah, it's 22 Monuments, an old John Calvin Stevens building, actually.
Oh, cool.
Fun back to it. But yeah, we've had something like 80,
Yeah,
90
I
boxes.
She's got one for me.
Boxes.
They're stapled together. So.
Just.
I'm really.
Incredible amount of stuff.
Moving.
Can't find anything.
So hard, it's so hard to
Yeah.
do.
But you must have more space.
Actually,
Yeah.
about the same amount of space, but it's more usable space. Our old office, I don't know if anybody had ever been there, was 2 rooms connected by a very long thin hallway and then like a small reception area in the middle. But this is just three open rooms, no hallway, so it's like the same amount of square footage, but
We're using
about a
square
third
footage.
of it last time was a hallway. It's nice.
Well, just want to review or approve the bill from All Design for $772.50 for April.
I move that we pay Paul
Pay Paul.
$770.50.
50 cents. And do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor? Did not receive a requisition from. No, that would be the only bill that I received this month.
That's good.
All right, exactly. All right, and setting the time and agenda, setting the time and date for our next meeting is, as we discussed earlier, 6:17 PM here.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, yeah, in public, and so do we have a motion to adjourn?
Welcome to your.
Second that.
Second, thank you, all in favor? Right.
Let me know what